In this video, we dive into the alarming implications of the recent dismantling of the White House Office of Domestic Climate Policy amid a broader push to reverse critical federal climate initiatives. With a focus on the alarming withdrawal from international agreements and drastic cuts to renewable energy funding, we explore how these actions threaten the U.S.'s role as a leader in climate innovation. Amidst growing restrictions on climate information and support for fossil fuels, we'll also examine the potential long-term consequences for environmental justice and the legal challenges that are beginning to arise in response to these drastic policy shifts. Join us as we uncover the significant fallout from these decisions and what they mean for the future of climate action in America. 1. Dismantling of the White House Office of Domestic Climate Policy. The hub, an integral part of Biden's climate strategy, was abruptly abolished by Trump, marking a seismic shift in policy. This decision did not occur in a vacuum but was part of a broader agenda to reverse prior climate commitments. The dismantling of the hub meant a loss of a centralized effort to address climate issues, which is crucial for coordinated national action. The absence of this office leaves a void in strategy and leadership, making it difficult to address climate challenges effectively. Moreover, the move has sent shockwaves through environmental circles, leading to fears of a domino effect on other climate-related policies. Without this hub, the U.S. faces an uphill battle in organizing a coherent response to environmental threats. 2. Reversal of federal climate policies. Trump's administration has been characterized by the reversal of many federal climate policies, a move that includes signing over 70 executive orders targeting climate regulations. These orders have had wide-ranging effects, from lifting bans on offshore drilling to reversing restrictions on fossil fuel production. The changes have effectively unraveled years of progress in reducing carbon emissions and moving towards cleaner energy sources. This rollback not only affects the environment but also the U.S.'s ability to compete in the growing global clean energy market. The dismantling of these policies is seen as a step backward in the fight against climate change, potentially setting a precedent for future administrations. 3. Withdrawal from international agreements. The U.S. has once again withdrawn from the Paris Climate Agreement under Trump's leadership, a move that weakens global efforts to combat climate change. This decision signals a retreat from international cooperation and undermines the U.S.'s credibility on the world stage. By exiting the agreement, the U.S. isolates itself from global climate initiatives, making it harder to influence outcomes and secure commitments from other nations. The withdrawal also sends a message that the U.S. may not be a reliable partner in future climate negotiations, impacting its diplomatic relationships. The lack of participation in such agreements leaves the world without one of its largest emitters' input in addressing climate issues. 4. Cuts to renewable energy funding. Federal funding for clean energy projects and research has been significantly slashed, slowing innovation in wind, solar, and battery technologies. This reduction in funding hampers the U.S.'s ability to develop and implement new technologies that are essential for a sustainable future. Without adequate financial support, many promising projects face delays or cancellation, stalling progress in the clean energy sector. The cuts also impact employment in renewable energy industries, where job growth had been a bright spot in recent years. By reducing investment in these areas, the U.S. risks falling behind other nations that are aggressively pursuing renewable energy development. 5. Restrictions on climate information. Government websites, including those of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, have been ordered to remove references to the climate crisis. This restriction on information dissemination is seen as an attempt to downplay the severity of climate change and its impacts. By limiting access to crucial data, the administration hinders public understanding and scientific research, making it harder to develop informed policies. The removal of climate information from official platforms also creates a gap in historical data, which is vital for tracking changes and trends. This lack of transparency raises concerns about accountability and the ability of the public to hold leaders responsible for environmental policies. 6. Support for fossil fuels. The administration has shown strong support for fossil fuels by greenlighting projects like new oil pipelines and lifting restrictions on coal production. This shift in focus towards fossil fuels is at odds with the global push for cleaner energy sources. By prioritizing fossil fuel development, the U.S. increases its carbon emissions, contributing to climate change and air pollution. The emphasis on fossil fuels also diverts attention and resources away from renewable energy initiatives, slowing progress in transitioning to a sustainable energy future. This support for traditional energy sources is seen as a step backward in the fight against climate change, with long-term consequences for environmental health. 7. Elimination of climate-focused positions. Key climate policy roles within the federal government have been cut, leaving significant gaps in leadership and strategy. The elimination of these positions undermines efforts to address climate issues at a national level, as there are fewer experts to guide policy development and implementation. Without dedicated staff, the ability to coordinate efforts across different government sectors is severely limited. This lack of leadership also sends a signal that climate change is not a priority, potentially discouraging future talent from pursuing careers in environmental policy. The absence of these roles creates a vacuum that makes it challenging to respond effectively to climate-related challenges. 8. Impact on environmental justice programs. Initiatives aimed at protecting vulnerable communities from climate-related disasters have been defunded or dismantled. These programs are crucial for ensuring that all communities, particularly those disproportionately affected by climate change, are equipped to handle environmental challenges. The reduction in support for environmental justice programs leaves many communities without the resources needed to adapt and respond to climate impacts. This lack of support exacerbates existing inequalities and increases the vulnerability of marginalized populations. By cutting these programs, the administration overlooks the importance of equitable climate action, which is essential for building resilient communities. 9. Legal challenges and public backlash. Environmental groups and state governments are preparing lawsuits to challenge these policy reversals. The legal battles reflect widespread public backlash against the administration's environmental policies, highlighting the contentious nature of these changes. These challenges aim to hold the administration accountable and prevent further damage to environmental protections. The legal efforts underscore the importance of the judiciary in upholding environmental laws and regulations. Public opposition to these policies is not only legal but also manifests in protests and advocacy campaigns, demonstrating the strong demand for climate action. 10. Long-term consequences for U.S. leadership. The loss of the Climate Innovation Hub weakens the U.S.'s ability to lead in global climate discussions and puts the country at risk of falling behind in the clean energy economy. Without a centralized effort to drive climate innovation, the U.S. struggles to maintain its competitive edge in emerging energy technologies. This loss of leadership has implications for economic growth, as other nations continue to advance in the clean energy sector. The absence of a strong climate strategy also diminishes the U.S.'s influence in shaping international climate policies. As the world moves towards a sustainable future, the U.S. risks being left behind without proactive climate leadership.